So I'm whispering to him, pull back, pull back, pull back, and I'm panning left, and we go around Madan as Roy comes around the table and stay with Roy, and he comes into a silhouetted two-shot. My name is Pratik Shah. I'm the cinematographer of Jubilee.
उड़े उड़न खटोले नयनों के तेरे, उड़े उड़न खटोले नयनों के मेरे, अखियां मले ज़माना.
Near the end of episode 7, Binod and Asghar have been confronted by Srikant Roy about the affair that's in the magazine between Binod, Madan, and Nilofer. So that scene, we knew that it was going to be in the office space, in Roy's office, and we had a 5-day schedule in this space, and we were playing around with different daytime lighting looks for all the scenes and making sure that we're not repetitive. Usually my process is to check in with the assistant directors to see what time of day it needs to be. We knew that this just needed to be day. It could be evening if we wanted it to. And for the drama of the scene, we decided to go with a sunsetty look, which would really complement kind of near the end of the episode, the drama that's there, the power dynamic that we're now seeing Madan have with Srikant Roy compared to what they've experienced in the previous scenes. We, and usually what we do is we block a scene. Vikram and I will show up with the actors in the space with the first AD, and we will kind of let them run the scene in the way that they want, however they want, wherever they want to walk, the pacing that they want to go by. See it once by eye, and then make some changes based on, for me, lighting, whether it needs to be next to the window, back facing the window, profile to the window, how much light do we want on their faces. I'm contributing in the blocking, thinking about that perspective. So we decided that Roy would start behind the desk and he'd come around once Binod accuses him of being somebody who's done this in the past before. So once we've blocked the scene, we kind of set up the dolly for the opening shot, which is Roy showing the magazine to Madan. So we knew we wanted a fast dolly track into, which is our usual mode of what would Scorsese do, bringing a bit of energy into everything when we could.
क्या है ये? क्या है ये?
So we set up that track, and the plan was to just do that shot and maybe hold on it for some time and then let him walk out of frame. Take one, we get to that moment where he starts to walk out of frame and Vikram's not calling cut. So I'm on the headset with my dolly grip, and we happen to have that track because we were pushed in. So I'm whispering to him, pull back, pull back, pull back, and I'm panning left, and we go around Madan as Roy comes around the table and stay with Roy, and he comes into a silhouetted two-shot. That was never the plan. The plan was to do a separate two-shot, eventually land there, but not in a move. It was just going to be a static shot once he comes around the desk. That was something that was discovered in the moment by Vikram not calling cut, dolly grip being on point, knowing exactly how quickly, how fast the pace that needs to be to move back, and having a good landing spot for a good two-shot. So I think how the scene kind of developed and the energy that was developed was so much of that was discovered in the blocking as well as in the spontaneity of the first take. The fact that they were so silhouetted in that two-shot could only happen through that first take spontaneity because we hadn't framed that yet. So we didn't know exactly, if I wanted to add a bounce, not on the shadow side, but just to add a little more kick on the light side, or if I wanted to add more negative fill, if it wasn't silhouette enough. We weren't sure because we hadn't done it yet. And that magic was definitely discovered in that first take.
किस स्टार की बात कर रहा है तू? कोई नया स्टार है या कोई पुराना?
In episode 5, Binod goes to Roy to tell him that he's going to do Jay's film. He's agreed to it. Roy kind of smirks, tells him that sure, he can do whatever he wants. Then he gets up from his desk, at which point the single take starts. It's a 90-second shot where we kind of dolly pan first with Roy across the desk, and he approaches Madan and kind of pats him on the back, says a few things, and starts hovering behind him. Comes back and forth a few times. Then we start sliding. We have a slider on a dolly, so we start sliding in front of Madan and continue to see Roy lingering and hovering from left to right. We've given him marks of what his out points are and in points are, so he always remains in frame when we need him to. But he remains out of focus because the focus of the shot has to be Binod realizing for the first time that Roy actually knows that he killed Jamshed. This is the first moment that he actually gets that information. Because this is the moment where Binod realizes that Roy knows that he's killed Jamshed, we wanted to stay with him and stay with the emotion that he's feeling, while still seeing the lurking, lingering Roy kind of pulling the strings behind him. So he kind of became that Macbeth figure of the three witches, who's kind of hovering and you know, actually the one that's pulling the strings. So for that, we wanted to stay with him. That was something that was discovered in blocking on set.
सिर्फ मदन कुमार ही विनोद दास को बचा सकता है। मुझे तो मेरा मदन कुमार मिल गया, इसलिए कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि जमशेद खान जिंदा भी है या मर गया।
For the most part in the show, we hadn't really shot listed or storyboarded. It wasn't the style, unless it was a big VFX shot. In episode 1, where Binod is cycling, we knew we had to plan the entire set around that bicycle shot. That was something that pre-vised as well through the VFX team. But for the majority of the drama scenes, everything was discovered in blocking.
3 जून 1947 के माउंटबेटन प्लान में हिंदुस्तान के बंटवारे की घोषणा के बाद से ऐसा माना जा रहा है कि सांप्रदायिक दंगे सिर्फ पंजाब और बंगाल में ही नहीं बल्कि आसपास के राज्यों में भी फैल सकते हैं। लॉर्ड माउंटबेटन ने आश्वासन दिया है कि हिंसा करने वालों के प्रति सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
The idea to kind of keep it as a single take was a combination of knowing what we needed from the scene emotionally and seeing what we could do with the blocking and communicate that in as few shots as possible, as powerfully as possible. You can lose the drama if you have too many things to look at. Jamshed and Binod get into a car crash and the rioters come. There's so many moments where there's a shift in what is happening in the scene.